Okay, let's unpack this. You know how sometimes you meet people with like all the degrees, super brilliant, maybe not. Well, not exactly rolling in it.
Yeah, and then you hear about others, maybe less formal education, who just build amazing things. It's a real head scratcher sometimes.
Exactly. And we've been looking through your source materials, specifically chapter 4 in 5.pdf, the one on specialized knowledge.
Ah,
And
yeah,
it feels like it really gets to the heart of that
it
difference.
really does. It jumps right in talking about two kinds of knowledge. You've got your general knowledge and then specialized knowledge.
Yeah.
And it uses that classic example, university professors. So much general knowledge, right? But often not necessarily wealthy in the financial
It
sense.
makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is just knowing stuff enough?
Well, the source puts it pretty bluntly. Knowledge is only potential power, just potential.
Like having a amazing toolkit but never actually building anything with it?
Precisely. It's inert until you do something with it.
So what's the missing link then? How do you turn that potential into actual, power or success?
Organization and action. That's what the source emphasizes. It even sort of critiques educational systems for maybe not focusing enough on teaching how to organize and use knowledge effectively.
So it's not just accumulating facts.
No, it's about having practical plans. Plans directed towards a definite goal, like, say, accumulating money, as the source often uses for its examples.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating for me. The whole idea of redefining educated, and the Henry Ford example is just perfect.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic. Because everyone knows Ford didn't have years and years of formal schooling.
Right.
But the source points to the origin of the word educate, from the Latin educo, which means to draw out, to develop from within.
So being educated isn't just about stuffing your head full of information.
Not according to this view. It's more about developing the ability to get the knowledge you need when you need it and knowing what to do with it without, stepping on anyone's toes.
And Ford totally lived that, especially in that courtroom story. What happened there again?
Ah, the libel suit. A newspaper called him ignorant, basically.
Okay.
So the opposing lawyers tried to trip him up with general knowledge questions, like who was Benedict Arnold? Silly stuff, really, in that context.
Trying to make him look foolish.
Exactly. But Ford's response was, well, legendary.
He basically said, why bother?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He said something like, why should I clutter my mind with general knowledge when I have people I can call on using these electric push buttons on my desk who can give me any answer I need?
Brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant.
The source argues that showed he was truly educated. He knew where to get knowledge and how to organize it through his team.
Which leads nicely into this mastermind concept. What exactly is that?
It's essentially a group, an alliance, of people with different specialized skills and knowledge,
Mm.
all working together towards a common goal, like a brain trust, you could say.
Oh.
Andrew Carnegie's another example used. He admitted he didn't know the technical details of steel manufacturing.
Really? The steel magnate himself?
Yeah, but he surrounded himself with people who did. He built a mastermind group focused on steel.
So it's not about being the expert in everything yourself.
Not at all. It's about orchestrating the expertise,
Hmm.
knowing how to find and direct the right people, like conducting an orchestra, as you said earlier.
That's actually really encouraging, isn't it, for anyone who feels like maybe they lack formal education?
Definitely. The source makes a point of saying if you can organize and lead a team of specialists, you're just as educated in this practical sense as anyone on that team.
It mentions Edison too, right? Another one with limited formal schooling?
Yes, Edison Ford.
Hmm.
Powerful examples that success isn't solely dependent on diplomas.
And this specialized knowledge, it's actually quite available
Yeah.
and maybe not as expensive as we think.
That's another interesting point the source makes. It suggests looking at college payrolls, you see how much specialized knowledge is out there, and comparatively, maybe it's not prohibitively expensive to access.
So how do you go about buying this knowledge effectively? Is there a process?
Well, the source outlines a kind of strategy. First, figure out exactly what specialized knowledge you need, and crucially, why you need it. What's your main goal, your purpose?
Okay, purpose first.
Then, identify reliable sources. Could be your own experience building that mastermind alliance, colleges, libraries, special training courses, lots of options.
But just getting the knowledge isn't the end game, right? I mean, you can have certificates all over the wall.
Absolutely not. It's useless without application. You need to organize it and use it. Tie to that definite purpose with practical plans.
So that college degree might not mean much to an employer if it just represents a collection of random facts without any demonstrated ability to apply them.
Exactly. Figure out the why before you chase more qualifications. Then pick your sources wisely.
And this isn't like a one and done thing, is it? Learning stops when school ends.
Oh, definitely not. The source stresses that successful people are always acquiring more specialized knowledge related to their purpose, their business, their profession.
It's a continuous process.
Absolutely. Believing learning ends after graduation is a huge mistake, especially now. The demand is for specialists.
It quotes Robert P. Moore from Columbia University, highlighting that shift, right? Employers looking beyond just grades.
Yes, looking for specialization accounting, engineering, leadership skills,
Mm.
and also personality, character, someone's activity record, not just their academic one.
That's a big shift. An industrial company saying they value character and personality more than specific educational background for managers.
Wow.
It shows the importance of being well-rounded, but also deeply skilled in a relevant area.
And the source mentions other ways to get these skills, beyond the standard university path.
Oh, yeah. Things like apprenticeships, maybe during college summers. Night schools are great for focus training. Correspondence schools, too. And just self-study, right? Books, courses.
Tons of options.
Yeah.
Very flexible, you can fit it around your life, which is a huge plus.
There's that interesting paradox mentioned, though, about free stuff, like public schools or libraries. We don't always value them.
It seems to be human nature, doesn't it? The source suggests we value things more when we've put effort or money into them.
Hmm.
So someone who pays for a specialized course, maybe they're more committed to using that knowledge than someone who just, checks out a book from the library for free. It's a thought.
And employers apparently notice that, people who invest in themselves.
Yeah, the source says employers often see that self-investment time spent in night school or self-study as a sign of ambition, leadership potential. It's not charity, it's recognizing drive.
And ambition, or rather the lack of it, is called out specifically a universal weakness.
Strong words, but the point is clear. People who use their spare time to improve themselves, they tend to move up. Opportunities find them, or rather, they make themselves visible to opportunity.
That makes sense. Especially when things change, like the economy. You need to adapt.
Exactly. You need that specialized knowledge to maybe pivot, find new ways to earn,
Yeah.
like a merchant getting rid of unsold stock and bringing in what people are buying. We have to be smart merchants of our own skills.
The Stuart Austin Wurst story is pretty incredible for illustrating that. An engineer, mid-career, during the Depression, decides to become a lawyer.
Yeah, over 40, married, tough time to make a change. But he saw a need for specialized knowledge in corporation law.
And he went for it, focused.
Totally focused. Finished a 4-year course in 2 years, apparently. Built a successful practice right in the middle of the Depression.
Wow. It really shows, well, like the source says, it pays to know how to purchase knowledge.
He does.
Mm.
And it also shows the danger of just stopping learning after school. That leads to mediocrity, the source warns. Success is about constantly pursuing knowledge.
Okay, but knowledge alone isn't quite everything, is it? There's another ingredient.
Imagination, that's the catalyst.
Ah, yes. The grocery store salesman story. Unemployed during the Depression.
Right. He learns bookkeeping, that's the specialized knowledge. But then the imagination part. He sees a need among small merchants who can't afford a full-time bookkeeper.
And creates those offices on wheels. Genius.
Totally. Combines the skill with a creative delivery method.
Yeah.
And apparently his income went way up based on his income tax. It just shows the power of an idea sparked by that knowledge.
But even then, having the idea and the skill wasn't quite enough initially, was it? He needed to sell it.
That's another great point. He had the bookkeeping idea, but didn't know how to turn it into cash, as the source puts it, how to market it.
So the solution was?
Getting help.
Yeah.
A creative typist helped him put together this really attractive portfolio, a silent salesman, to showcase what he offered.
It's all about presentation sometimes. Making your value clear.
Absolutely. Which leads to that other amazing story, the mother who created the marketing plan for her son.
Oh, that one was impressive. Not just the CV, but a whole strategy document.
Nearly 50 pages, detailing his abilities, experience, and a plan for the specific job he wanted, including suggestions for the company.
And she sent him out to do research on competitors and everything.
Talk about proactive. She really engineered his job search.
Like the result.
He got the job, first interview, at the salary he wanted. Started as a junior executive, not at the bottom rung.
Which brings up that whole point about starting at the bottom. The source is a bit skeptical about that advice, isn't it?
It argues that starting right at the bottom can be, well, discouraging. You might get stuck, never lift your head high enough to see the opportunities passing by, get into a rut.
So aim a bit higher from the start.
Yeah, try to start a step or two up if possible. It fosters a different mindset, apparently. A habit of looking for and grabbing opportunities rather than just accepting the status quo.
Like Dan Halpin, the Notre Dame guy.
Exactly. He started selling hearing aids, accessible, sure, but his ambition was way higher.
He didn't want to stay there.
Nope. Moved up to assistant sales manager. That made him visible.
And then Dictograph noticed him.
A.M. Andrews, yeah. Saw his record, hired him as sales manager, put him through a tough sink-or-swim test, which Halpin passed, and boom, VP and general manager.
Wow, quick rise. And attributed partly to his refusal to compromise, influenced by being around winners like Knut Rockne.
That seems to be the implication. The power of association. Aim high. Surround yourself with people who aim high.
There's that personal story shared, too, about advising his son Blair to take a job with Halpin, even if it paid less initially.
Right, because the value of associating with someone like Halpin, someone who refuses to settle, was seen as more valuable long-term than a slightly higher starting salary.
It all circles back, doesn't it? Ambition, planning, association, avoiding that monotonous, dreary, unprofitable place at the bottom.
And recognizing that huge fortunes can come from simple ideas like Woolworth's five and dime concept. But those ideas need that specialized knowledge and imagination to take flight.
So ideas are crucial, but they don't exist in a vacuum.
Exactly. Ideas need specialized knowledge to become reality. But the source stresses that the knowledge is usually findable. It's the idea, fueled by imagination and desire, combined with a plan. That's the real engine.
Anybody can wish for riches, but only a few know that a definite plan plus a burning desire are the only dependable means,
Yeah, it's powerful.
and that the only real limits are the ones we set in our own minds.
So wrapping this up, the big takeaway seems to be ditch the idea that just knowing a lot of general stuff is the key. Focus on specialized knowledge.
Yes, but not just acquiring it. You need to organize it, combine it with imagination, create a definite plan, and back it with a strong desire. Continuous learning is vital.
It's about being strategic, proactive, and never underestimating the power of a well-thought-out idea combined with the right skills.
Absolutely. It redefines being educated as being effective and resourceful. Okay, so a final thought then for you, the listener, to chew on. What's one specific piece of specialized knowledge that could genuinely move the needle for you right now? And more importantly, what's the first concrete step you could take this week to start acquiring and planning how to apply it?